Hi, this is Rob Anspach, and I have a very special guest today. His name is Michael Schmidlen, and he's going to teach us the the value of digital print marketing. And I think it's very important that we have this great interview because the fact is that print magazines have seen their day, and Michael's going to share with us ideas on how to brand our businesses using this digital format. So, Michael, welcome. And please, if I misspelled your name or if I, you know, uh,
No, you did it fine. Thank you.
didn't say something right, but if you could, share with us a little bit about your bio
Sure.
and anything else that the audience might think is funny, relevant. You be the judge.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Look forward to sharing some information about my latest venture with you. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've owned a home-based business, a technology company for 22 years and counting. I'm an angel investor, a published author now. About a month ago, my first book came out, and I'm working on a couple others as we speak. And I'm an investor and a digital publisher in the startup that developed the technology that my two business-themed digital magazines are using. The company's called Of 11 Media, and I'm very happy to be involved with them. I've been an investor for over a year now, and I was working as an advisor. The CEO of the company is a personal friend of mine. I've known him for 7 years now, and was working kind of as an unpaid consultant for about 6 months before I invested. So pretty excited about the opportunity, and as is the case with most technology projects, it took longer than we anticipated, but it is all done now and it's all working. And we had a rather substantial call earlier this morning with a prospective joint venture partner that will bring us out of the shadows and into the forefront. I'll leave it at that. We'll know in the next couple weeks whether this is going to become a reality or not, but it's a big deal, and we were told by them that our technology is head and shoulders above anything else they've seen, including what they're using right now. So that's a pretty exciting opportunity for us, and it would give us obviously a lot of credibility and help us achieve our goal of having 100 digital magazine titles in the next 24 months or sooner. So
Now, oh, wow, 100 magazines. That's incredible. How many titles do you have now?
we have 18, 7 more in various stages of development. We're releasing about one a week at this point. We've had some days where we've had two. The good news about the technology delay, and the technology didn't get completed. We thought it would be done by mid-year last year. It didn't get done until December 27th. And we've continued to make some technological improvements and enhancements to some of the pieces. But we got everything bolted together at the end of the year, and it all works. So now we're adding features based on customer feedback. Um, we have a digital publishing platform called MagTitan. We have a digital ad platform called Ad Einstein, and we have an affiliate program so that we can compensate people who bring advertisers or subscribers to us. So those are the kind of 3 moving parts. The good news about the delay is it allowed us to work on the editorial background of all of these magazine titles. So we could kept working until the technology got done, and now that it's done, we had kind of a backlog of, I mean, I've got the second issues of both my publications already done, and we just literally, really, truly launched both of them with ads in them. So our digital ad platform, I think, is one of the things that's the biggest differentiator. We have a feature in our ad platform called Infinite Pages, and our ads are not static ads like they are in print magazines. Our ads can be audio, video, text, graphics, live video. They can be links to multiple web pages. I mean, it's truly an impressive thing to see some of the things that we've done and some of the heat tracking and other things that we're incorporating so that we'll have unparalleled analytics from our readers and subscribers that we'll be able to share with advertisers. So it's pretty exciting. I mean, it's truly cutting edge stuff.
Now, your magazines, I mean, do they cover mostly business? Do they, I mean, are what's the gamut?
we have a wide range from relationships to what some people would call, we have a magazine called Science and Spirit that some people would consider woo-woo. I think mainstream science is starting to understand that some of the older arts there is a science basis and background, from a quantum perspective. So those two are starting to merge and recognize each other at this point, which is a good thing from my perspective. We have one on the medical cannabis business called Bud. We've got relationship magazine called Couples Max. We have a divorce magazine called Next, and a substantial number of business-themed and oriented magazines. My two magazines are both business-themed. One is targeted to home-based business owners, and the other one is targeted to the top 1% of successful achievers.
Now, what makes your magazines different than the print magazines?
The ability to incorporate text, graphics, audio, video, live video, all in one package. In addition, the way our magazines are structured, they are approximately, and they will differ, but both my premier issues are over 100 pages long. So these are not 2, 3, 4, 5 page magazines built using flipper technology, which in essence is where you digitize an existing print magazine and you literally flip from page to page. Our stories, you scroll from top to bottom. We invented a templating system that allows us to input data into 367 different templates, so the magazine pages will appear identical regardless of the viewing device. The day the iPhone 6 came out, our publications were already iPhone 6 compatible, and to the best of my knowledge, we were the only digital publisher that could make that claim, the only publisher that could make that claim. So it allows us to also, now that, I mean, the first magazine literally took 18 months to do. We can do a magazine in less than a day now. So wow. That's what getting all the technology right has enabled us to do.
Now, what impact has that created for the print world? I mean, are some of these magazines that have been around for a long time, are they running scared?
The biggest problem that print publishers have in this day and age is they derive about 80% of their ad revenue from their print publications. So they're somewhat reluctant to bite the hand that feeds them. However, that tide has clearly turned, and so quite a few of them are going to have to try to play catch up, either by acquiring people like us or reverse engineering what we've done and developing comparable technology, which the unfortunate aspect of that approach is by the time they catch up to where we are today, we're already 3 generations ahead of where we started in the middle of last year from a technology perspective. And we're not going to sit idly by and not continue to innovate and add enhancements and updates to our existing technology platform. So, I mean, I can see our platform being used for book launches, for hosting live webinars or hangouts such as this. It could be done within the pages of a magazine. Because our magazines are digital, we can go in between issues and add additional content and keep it fresh and relevant. We can have breaking news, we can have press conferences, we can do all kinds of things within the confines of a digital magazine. So I think that's the inherent advantage that we have over print. But I'm an old school guy. I like reading print magazines. I like the tactile feel of a book or a magazine. But the reality is things are headed in a fast way in the digital direction.
Now let's talk about your Ad Einstein platform. I mean, that's designed for those who want to advertise.
Absolutely.
Okay. And what's the advantage of people? You know, I understand that, you know, we want to advertise our products and services in a magazine, and with your platform now we can put, you know, video and these Google Hangouts and links and you know, how deep can you go with that?
I briefly mentioned earlier our infinite pages feature. Your ads can be whatever you want them to be. They are not limited by us. If you want your ad to be 1,000 pages long, and I'm not exaggerating, it can be 1,000 pages long. You'll kill your potential, the people that are going to see your message if you do that. But the point of the matter is we're not limiting what you want to do. In addition to the ad platform, we have what we consider to be a very unique ad revenue model. and it's called pay per verified view. And right now, it costs an advertiser $1 per verified view. And a verified view is not somebody that clicks on your ad, it's somebody that interacts on your ad. They spend X amount of time, and we have a predefined amount of time, or they interact, they click a link, they opt in, or they in some way interact with the ad. They watch videos, etc. So I had some comments from people that they thought that, looking at the pay-per-click model and PPM and PPC models, they felt that the $1 was pretty high. But if you look at what Google charges for some keywords, $1 isn't anything. I mean, you can spend $47 for some top keywords. So
right, and from my point of view, and as an SEO guy and as a guy who kind of convinces people, about pay-per-click and how, words can be manipulated, especially on the pay-per-click platform. Your platform actually is better because, if I'm going to pay $1, for someone to actually engage in my ad, that is has so much more value to me than saying, well, I only want to pay 23 cents per word or 23 cents per click, because a click doesn't mean that they're actually going to engage in what you're doing.
You're absolutely right, and we have incorporated some analytical features within Ad Einstein so that we can provide those metrics to potential advertisers. And as we get more advertisers into our publications, we'll have more data to share with advertisers. It's highly likely that we will raise our rates depending on the demographics and the other analytical information that we're able to gather going forward. But right now, it's $1 a click, or $1 verified view. So again, we recognize that we are on probably at this point the bleeding edge of digital publishing technology, based on what we've seen and feedback that we've heard from some of the top people in the industry who've looked at our technology. We're not aware, and that's not to say it doesn't exist, but we're not aware of anybody who is even remotely close to us at this point. And I've maintained all along that we're more likely to be acquired in the next 12 to 18 months than not, to be honest with you. And it's a good place to be. We jokingly in-house refer to the fact that we have a 600 horsepower supercar balanced and blueprinted sitting at the starting line. Now we need to put some nitro in it. And nitro is subscribers and advertisers. So, we've signed some rather significant deals with an email marketing company and with a major credit card company who's going to share our publications with their card holders as a perk, and we will share ad revenue with them in exchange for access to their database, which is 50 million customers. So, and the email marketing firm that we made a strategic acquisition of has 110 million names in their database. So between the two, and there will be some overlap clearly, but we'll have access to roughly half the population of the United States. So that's a significant start for us. Now we have to get everything together and get subscribers and get advertisers and do all this stuff. So that's where we're spending a substantial amount of our time right now.
Now, how do you have a balance between who you accept as advertisers? Do you have a kind of a guideline?
Well, I'm not going to say we won't take anybody's money, because that's not true. We have different publications, and those publications and the demographics of the people that are going to read those type of publications are going to determine what good advertisers would be for them. It's not in our best interest to bring in a bunch of advertisers who aren't going to be successful because they're not getting any verified views. We don't make any money. Our publications are all free to subscribe to or read. They're ad subsidized. So that's the mother's milk of our business model, is ad revenue. So if we're not getting ad revenue, it doesn't do us any good. So I won't say that we have no criteria, but it's a pretty low bar at this point, to be honest with you. And we'll get more selective as time moves on, because we'll be able to. We'll be able to pick and choose who we want to advertise in our publications.
Now, you mentioned that out of all the publications that you guys do, you have two that you, I guess, named or control or write for.
I'm the publisher for 2 different magazines. So yes, that's true.
Okay.
Crushing It magazine is one of them. That's targeted the top 1% of successful people. Kevin Harrington is on the premiere issue cover. And the second magazine is called Underwear Entrepreneur. And that's the title of a book that I've been writing for more years than I care to mention. But it's targeted to home-based business owners, of which I've been one for 22 years and counting. And you know, working from home, as you personally know, and as I well know, comes with it a different set of issues, and that your traditional brick and mortar business doesn't have to deal with. And we tend to wear a lot of hats. You know, we don't have a lot of people unless we have virtual assistants to delegate things to. So we have to learn. I mean, just social media is a classic example. I'm hardly a social media expert, but I have a working knowledge that's allowed me to play in this space for 5 or 6 years now. And I do a passable job. I'm not great at it by any stretch of the imagination. But I finally have come to the realization and the recognition that I need some help, and I'm making some overtures to getting some virtual assistants on board so that I can move forward and spend my time where it's most productive, which is not doing all this other stuff. So,
You know, what are some of the lessons that you've learned, that you've discovered putting these magazines together?
you know, I think that I'm fortunate in that I've got 30 years of experience to draw from, and I've established a lot of relationships. So when I've approached content providers and suggested that, you know, I would like to share their message with my readers, I've had very few people say no. So I think that gets back to the importance of establishing and maintaining long-term relationships with people, and it's something that I feel that I'm more than adequate in doing. And so I've been able to leverage relationships that I've built over the years in order to get top-notch content providers. And I continue to, I mean, the advantage from my perspective of being a publisher is I can reach out to virtually anyone. They may say no, they may not respond or reply, but you know, it gives me that opportunity. You know, I have a platform to share messages with, and while Crushing It, the first issue was primarily 10 pretty well, all 10 were published authors, all 10 of the content contributors. We also want to share messages from people who aren't as well known in both publications. So, I mean, we have a platform to share messages with a wide audience, a potential wide audience. So we can help bring people's message to a wider audience, I guess is the easiest way to say it.
Now, do you find that if someone subscribes to, say, your Crushing It magazine, that they also subscribe to other of your magazines?
Yes, and you know, they have access to all of them, and that we're not limiting anybody's. I mean, you can go to of11media.com and you can read. You don't have to subscribe to read. You can just read it. The initial analytics that we found, people are spending 6 to 7 minutes per visit on the publications, which is pretty good engagement. They're reading 2 to 3 stories, and each story is roughly 10 pages long. We have an About the Author page, which, you know, is a brief bio and links to anything that the author, the content provider, would like to provide. You know, if they have a cause or their website or whatever. So, I mean, and we're encouraging people to read multiple issues for obvious reasons. And because I'm an investor in the company, I'm providing content providers for not only my 2 issues, but the other 16 as well. And the publishers are kind of sharing content providers with each other. Not the same content, but the providers themselves. So you will see content from some pretty well-known names in multiple publications. I've provided content for Brad Sugar's Small Business Edge magazine, for instance, and we've shared some content providers with each other. And so it's you know, it's an exciting opportunity from a technology perspective and from a platform perspective to widen our potential audience.
And where do you see the future of this technology going?
My big picture vision is the ability to incorporate artificial intelligence into the magazines, so that people can literally put together a personalized custom magazine based on their interests. And so we've had some preliminary conversations with some folks who have access to contents of silos of content, excuse me. And we've had conversations with people in the AI space, and we'll see where it goes in the future. But that's my big picture vision about what's possibly in the future for us. So it could be pretty interesting. So.
Let's take a step back, and when you introduced yourself, you said that you were an angel investor. What does that mean?
I invested as an outsider into of 11 Media, and I've made other strategic type investments in the past. So an angel investor is somebody who invests money before VCs do, and it's usually startup capital. And depending on the structure of the deal, in this particular case, my shares will convert to a series of shares in the event we have a funding event with of 11. So I will have the same type of shares that the VCs get. I will be an equal shareholder. So that's the advantage of being an angel investor. The disadvantage is, depending on how many rounds you take, your shares get diluted with each more strategic or VC round. So we have not done an A round yet. We are still operating under angel funds and self-funded. If this deal that got floated today becomes a reality, there won't be an A. Well, there likely won't be an A, B, or C round. The party will be over at that point. So, that's that. I just got this news like 15 minutes ago, so I'm very excited about the prospects of this becoming a reality. And as I said, it's only going to take a couple weeks for us to know. So it's one of those situations where we appear, by all intents and purposes, of being in the right place at the right time with the right solution. And they clearly recognize the competitive advantage that we have at this point. So we'll see if it. Thank you. We'll see if it becomes a reality or not, but it's not going to take a long time. So that's pretty exciting.
Now, were there stumbling blocks, in dealing with a new partnership or a new venture?
Sure. Technology delays. We thought, as I said, that we did a soft launch of Crushing It, which was the first title from of 11 last May. So we didn't have the ad platform done, and since our publications are all ad subsidized, it didn't make a lot of sense to go out and get a lot of subscribers to it because we weren't generating any revenue. So we kind of didn't. We started focusing on getting additional content for subsequent issues and editorial planning for all the other magazines that we're working on. Some of the magazines we have, our business model is to have celebrity partners, and with that model, the celebrity partner can own a percentage of the publication and share in the ad revenue in exchange for promoting it to their lists and to their followers. And so we've got people like Lee Steinberg. We've got people like Kevin Harrington has a magazine called Sharkpreneur. Brad Sugar, small business, the Aussie entrepreneur and coach, action coach founder, has Small Business Edge. Bill Walsh, motivational speaker, has a publication. I mean, a number of high-profile people like that. And then we have people like myself, who's not a household name yet. I'll throw that little qualifier out there. I look at this as a platform for me to gain some exposure, and that's not a bad thing. So.
Now let's go back to your moniker underneath your name, the Underwear Entrepreneur. How'd that come about?
I was involved in a mastermind group back in 2008 with a gentleman named John Osroff, who was featured in The Secret, and he had a company at that time, a business coaching company called One Coach, and this was a millionaire mastermind group, and I think it lasted about 6 months and it was kind of a program, but it lasted 6 months from the second quarter of 2008 into the first quarter of 2009. And we actually had a live event out in Los Angeles where all the participants finally met each other live, because this had all been via conference call. And I shared a I guess what you could call a little quirk with other members of my group, that I had a home gym and a steam room in my house in Colorado at the time, and I would go down and work out in the morning, take a steam shower, and often go up to my office in a towel and sit there and start working. And sometimes, would look up and it would be noon. So I attended quite a few of our group calls in a towel. And so the commando entrepreneur or the towel entrepreneur doesn't sound as good as the underwear entrepreneur. So I was trying to clean things up. But the idea and the title for the book came about as a result of this live mastermind session that we had in LA. And I started to write the book, and I've started and stopped. And I can't give you a good reason why it isn't done yet. Just to say, I'll take full responsibility for my inability to finish it. But I've gotten involved in 3 other collaborative book efforts this year. One is already done. The second one will be out in August, and the third one I'm not sure when it's going to be out. So I'm a published author now, for what that's worth, as you well know. It's not the road to riches, but
No, I've written 3 books. 2 social media books and 1 search engine optimization book with a follow-up book coming out. We have a June deadline.
Excellent.
For the sequel to Optimize This. And no, books are not a moneymaker. They're more of an authority position tool that gives you credibility in the marketplace.
I call them a 3-dimensional business card because that's pretty much what they are.
I have people that will come up to me and they'll say, there's misspellings in your book. It doesn't line up right, and the pictures aren't clear enough. And I said, well, did you read it? Well, yeah. Did you like it? Yeah. But then I don't care about all the other stuff.
Yeah, really. I mean, and the thing is, and you know this, you're not ever going to please the majority of people, let alone everybody.
No.
So you just it's good enough.
Yeah, and one of my big things is my big phrase is good enough. Perfect costs too much. Perfect takes too long.
Well, perfect is not an achievable goal. There is no such thing as perfection.
Right. There are so many entrepreneurs that get hung up on making their product so perfect that they miss the opportunity. It costs them too much money, and when they do finally get the product out, it's kind of lost its momentum because either the timing wasn't there anymore, or they've worked on that project for so long, there's no enthusiasm left.
Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly.
So, for all those that are listening, if you have something, an idea, a concept, get it out there, start making money, and you can always go back and make tweaks later.
Absolutely.
It's kind of like the Microsoft Apple platform. Throw your product out there and then do updates constantly.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, as we progress, you're in Texas,
Yes, sir.
And your partners are in Florida and everywhere else.
Rhode Island, California, Wales.
Kind of like my team.
Yeah.
I'm in Pennsylvania. I have a team member in Texas and a team member in Phoenix and a team member in Winnipeg, and they're all over. And this is the beauty of working from home. I still have a team to support me, but they're not in my living room in my face.
Yep. Well, I think you have all the inherent advantages of having coworkers and none of the potential downside. None of the petty office politics and wasting time around the water cooler. And, I come to work in shorts and a T-shirt most days. That's my business attire. If I put a collared shirt on and jeans, that's getting dressed up for me. I mean, I don't even own a tie anymore and haven't for years. I'm a firm believer that substance is more important than style. And I've met so many empty suits during the course of my career that I don't even care to try to tick off all of them. So, I'm one of those what you see is what you get kind of guys. And I fully recognize that not everybody's going to like me, and I'm okay with that.
I haven't worn a watch in 15 years. And, I'll go out to meetings and they'll say, what time is it? And I said, I have no idea. I don't wear a watch. And they're like, and they got these $4,000 Rolexes or whatever, and I'm like, if you're so concerned with time, then you're really not making any money.
Yep.
You know, and so it's funny because I get wrapped up, whether I'm in a Google Hangout, whether I'm coaching someone, whether I'm working on their website. I have no idea what time it is.
Yeah.
But once my wife comes home from work or my kids come home from school, I know it's time to close the laptop, put my stuff away, and devote time to them. Does it always happen? No. Do they get on my case? Yeah. But we as an entrepreneur need to schedule that personal time. Otherwise, it becomes, one day goes into the next, and
goes into the weeks, goes into the months, goes into the years. I mean, it flies by. The potential downside of working from home is it's like a siren calling you to the rocks 24 hours a day. And I would be lying if I told you I haven't gotten up in the middle of the night and come into my office and done things because I couldn't sleep, or working late at night. I mean, normally I'm in my office until 11 or 12. Not always, but sometimes, and sometimes till 1. It just depends if I'm doing something. And if I go to bed when I'm tired. I get up when I wake up. So I don't have an 8 to 5 job, which is a good thing.
My office is wherever I put my laptop now, and I like it that way because, for me it's like, wow, the commute from my bed to the living room was horrendous today.
No traffic.
No traffic. But when my grandson comes over, I got, it's kind of like, you ever see the Tony Robbins, walk on fire coals?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, here it's walk on Legos.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm telling you, that is just excruciating. But,
yeah, those things are sharp.
It's an eye opener. But the thing is that I look at what people are doing today, and they're spending hours and hours every day commuting, stuck in traffic to go to an 8 to 5 job. So they're spending an hour on the road, if not more. 8 hours at a job that they don't like, another hour to drive home. So they've wasted 10 hours of their time, and they're not really making any money.
Yep. They're hamsters on the hamster wheel.
Right. Now, I'm looking at your wall, and it looks impressive. You've won some awards, or you've gained some awards.
Made the Inc. 5000 list twice, 2008 and 2009. Was named one of the top 25 most influential salespeople by Colorado Biz Magazine in when was that? 2011. And I was listed in the top 250 private companies in Colorado 3 consecutive years, 07, 08, 09. All as a solo entrepreneur.
And then they got fed up with you, kicked you out of Colorado, and sent you to
it was time for a change of scenery, quite frankly. And I lived in Colorado for 30 years. Both my daughters were born there. My wife is a native. I never thought I'd leave. Never say never. My youngest is going to school here in Texas, so we moved down here to be a little closer to her. My oldest daughter still lives in Denver, although she's probably going to likely end up in Texas too, maybe in Dallas. She's works for a large advertising firm, the parent company of Saatchi & Saatchi, called Publicis. She works for a division of them, and so she's potentially, interviewing in that field, and might end up in Dallas or maybe Austin. Don't know, but I think she'll eventually leave Denver.
I have a couple cousins that moved out to Colorado to go to school, and they decided to stay there, and they love it.
I'm from Pennsylvania originally.
Yeah, well,
I came out west when I was 19 years old, and I've never gone back. So,
the co-author of my Optimize This book, Paul Douglas, calls Pennsylvania Pennsyltucky.
Yeah, there's a lot of truth to
that. And I live in a small town in Lancaster County, which is mostly known for the Amish.
Yep.
The movie Witness was filmed here. Parts of Girl Interrupted, which was a terrible movie, and I think there was a couple other movies that I can't remember. But Witness was our big kind of claim to fame. It put our little tiny town on the map. But that was 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And when
Well, I was
I
going to say I grew up in Lewistown,
mhm.
Pennsylvania, which is 60 miles up the Juniata River from Harrisburg, and it's
Yeah,
about 30 miles from State College, where Penn State is. We had streets in Lewistown that were paved over cobblestones. I mean, Lewistown was established in like 1795.
yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, and when I come back to visit, I appreciate the beauty of central Pennsylvania now that I didn't when I was growing up. I hated it, but I look at things different. As an adult, you look at things differently, and I come back and I can see the beauty. And the only thing that I truly miss is the fall colors, because we have lots of trees out west, but we don't have all the different types of trees that exist on the East Coast. And so the color show in the fall is truly the only thing I miss, other than family, which is
Mhm.
mostly still back there. So
My wife and I were having this discussion the other day about, our house. We have a huge basement, and it's great to store stuff, and we have a finished living room down there for the kids, and and it's pretty big. And a friend of ours was saying, basement. What the heck's a basement? We don't have a basement.
yeah, they don't have basements in Texas.
They don't have basements in Florida. They don't have
Yeah.
basements in California, and it's
Yep.
like, what are you talking? What the heck is a basement? And I'm like, look at your living room. And I'm like, and he goes, okay. I said, now imagine that, 3 times bigger below, your living room. And he goes, wow. No, we don't have those.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I have a 6-bedroom house, and you have a 6-bedroom house, but it's just different,
Yeah.
and I think that, uh, you know, for me, being an entrepreneur, when I started out in 1995, I started a carpet cleaning business in my town, and for almost 20 years, I operated that business, and you know, eh, within about the first 10 years, I realized that I needed something more in life. I wanted something more. And, the desire to expand beyond my own little tiny town was so strong that, it convinced me to start, helping other cleaners do marketing, teaching them how to run their business. And then I started writing articles for, a cleaning magazine. And, throughout the years, then I developed my own little consulting company. And then social media came around, and people were like, this is just, how do you use this? And I started, learning everything I could about it, and started teaching people. And then I wrote 2 books, and it got to the point where, my dream of, you know, breaking out of that little tiny town started becoming more and more of a reality. And so now all I do is coach companies, excuse me, all over the world, and I don't have to focus on the cleaning aspect. I got rid of that company, and it's kind of put a whole new perspective on what I do, because when you're operating in a small town, the only focus you have is that time zone, those customers. With having a business that operates globally, you have to understand everybody's time zones, whether they're ahead of you, behind you, the next day, um, and you're trying to schedule your business to operate now globally, which is it's a whole different mindset. And
Absolutely. But it's
you
an
have
exciting opportunity too.
right, and sometimes especially with like Australia, they're a day ahead of us.
Yep.
They're already into the future. So when I have conversations out, with my Aussie friends, I'm like, you guys already did this, or you did this day already. Tell me how it worked out, so I can kind
What are the winning lottery numbers?
of, yeah, yeah, that doesn't work. But
I know.
it's sorry,
No worries.
it is just weird sometimes being able to say, you know what, I don't have a business that is structured. I don't have a brick and mortar business. You know, I can take my laptop and my cell phone and go anywhere in the world and conduct my business. And to me, that is the ultimate freedom, and it kind of goes back to the underwear entrepreneur because, I could be sitting on the beach. I could
Yep.
be sitting in a hotel room, whether it be in my bathing suit, my underwear, wherever,
Hmm.
and I have the freedom to work and help customers everywhere.
It erases geographical and time zone boundaries, quite frankly, and I think that it's I mean it's the future is here in that respect. Um, I started doing business globally back in the mid 2000s, probably 2005, 2006, and I was shipping stuff literally all over the world, and physical products, and I enjoyed it. I mean, and it was relatively easy for me. I was doing business in the Philippines, in Korea, in China, in India. I've literally done business on all 7 continents over the course of my 30-year career. So I had a customer at one point, probably 20 years ago, that was called Antarctic Support in Denver, and as their name implied, they did a lot of support operations down in Antarctica. So I have all 7 of them covered now, which to me is pretty cool. So.
Now, how do people go from that shift from selling a tangible product to strictly digital?
In my case, I achieved a level of success, quite frankly, that I was comfortable with. And my business, because I was comfortable with about 10% growth a year, grew about 10% a year. And then I reached a pinnacle in 2008, and I came to the realization that I actually kind of had an epiphany where I was like, is this all there is? So I literally lost my passion for doing what I was doing and set about to reinvent myself. And doing some reflection, about every 10 years over the last 30 years, I've reinvented myself, changed direction and the types of products that I was selling. And I went from selling electrical products to selling voice and data communications products to now working in the digital realm, selling information, knowledge, content, that type of stuff. So in my case, it was a conscious decision to figure out what was next for me. And I saw this opportunity, and I would like to feel I was smart enough to take advantage of it. I won't say I took a flyer, but I mean, it is a leap of faith to invest in a startup that certainly has no guarantee of success. And there's a very real risk that I will lose my investment. I would be shocked beyond belief if that happens, but it's a possibility. Never say never. I have made investments in other ventures that weren't as successful. Primarily, the technology was great, the team wasn't, and I learned a valuable lesson from that experience that has helped me in this experience, quite frankly. So. But I would like to think that I have the ability to sell things, and it doesn't matter whether I'm selling electrical commodities or whether I'm selling voice and data communications products or whether I'm selling information. It's all the same. You're still selling, and I'm a firm believer that we're all selling something. And the sooner you come to that realization, I think a lot of people have a reluctance to start their own business because they don't want to sell. Well, you're selling your time for money right now if you're working for somebody else. So the reality is you have a commodity, time, that you are selling to your employer. So I think if you change your mindset regarding that fact, I think it takes away a lot of the mystique of the selling process. So I saw an opportunity, I guess, and I've tried to stay on not the bleeding edge of technology, but the leading edge. It's less painful and less messy usually. But in this case, I'm probably on the bleeding edge of digital publishing, and I'm okay with that. I mean, just because it by all intents and purposes appears to be the right place to be right now. So.
Over the last few years, I've seen a shift, and it just seems like information and knowledge products seem to be the thing that, kind of everybody is gravitating towards, whether it be selling, buying, trading. And I think that there are so many people out there that are just hungry for the right information, for the right knowledge.
Yep.
Yeah, the internet has presented us with an open door to all this information, but I think sometimes we need, as entrepreneurs, to package it in such a way that it's enticing for others to buy it from us and not try for them to go out there and try to piece it together for their own little puzzle.
Yeah, it's like drinking out of a fire hose. I mean,
Right.
yeah, do a search on any common term, and you'll get tens of hundreds of thousands or millions or tens of millions of, matches to that particular term. I mean, it's crazy. How do you know where to look? One of the chapters that I just wrote in the book that I did is called "Who Do You Listen To?" And it's about the importance of having mentors and coaches and trying to figure out who you can trust to provide you with the right information in the right time. And you and I both know there's a lot of hucksters out there. And I have mixed emotions about charging people for information. And I realize that the internet marketing community would lynch me for saying that, but I've learned a lot. I'd like to feel that the experiences that I've had have value, but I have mixed emotions about how to figure out how to charge for that value. And I recognize that that value is only worth what somebody's willing or able to pay for. So it's kind of a catch-22 from my perspective. I've shared a lot of information over the years for free. And I had people do the same thing for me. So I'm trying to pay it forward a little bit, or pay it back, whichever. But and I agree with you. I mean, we all need guides, including people like you and I who have a lot of experience. I learn every day, and I feel very fortunate that I have had the opportunity to be exposed to a lot of different types of information and a lot of different types of information providers, and I've been able to decide what information resonates with me and what I want to spend my time and energy and money on. So.
Well, you hit on a very key word, and that's trust. We as entrepreneurs need to trust the people that are helping us, whether it be employees, whether it be clients, whether it be vendors. One of my big sayings is money is the byproduct of trust creation.
Absolutely.
If I don't trust you, if someone doesn't trust me, they're not going to be willing to spend any money with me.
That's true.
So, and we also have to decide, just like your article, who do we listen to? There are a lot of people out there that are very brilliant, and they've done a lot of great things.
Yep.
But sometimes, they bring too much drama, into their lives, and it kind of bleeds out into the world that they've created for themselves, and eventually people are going to get hurt.
Yep.
And I've seen it. I've been witness to it. And it's not a pretty sight.
No, it isn't.
And it just I think that people need to, if they feel comfortable with you, they need to just stick with you and just say, you know what, I believe in you. Let me just, I just think that there's too many people that have been out there. They've gotten burned too many times.
Yep.
They're leery. They're skeptical. So by the time they come to you, they're broken. And all you're doing is trying to, put them back together so that they'll listen to you. But I've been finding that, it used to be that I could say, you know what, here's the price. If you want to do business with me, great. And they'll say, yeah. But nowadays it's like, well, let me think about it. And 8 months later, they're finally coming back to me because, they've read stuff that I published, they've read my books, they've done this, they've done their homework, which I'm glad that they have.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe they've been burned by so many other people in between that time. Now by the time I get to them, I got to work 3 times as hard to try to fix the problem that everybody else created.
Yep.
you know, and that's the problem I think with the internet right now is that there's too many messages being pumped out there that create too much drama and too much BS, and
A
people
lot
don't
of
know who to listen to.
conflicting messages as
Right.
well. You know, one of my pet peeves is I'm at a point in my life and career where I'm not interested in having transactional relationships with people. And by that I mean I would prefer to have long-term mutually beneficial business relationships with people as opposed to me being a meal ticket for them. And I think that eliminates a lot of the, I mean, I will do business with people I like and enjoy, and I will support people whose message resonates with me, don't get me wrong. But I don't want the relationship to be only transactional based. And when I quit buying their products or services, I no longer have a relationship with them, then I never had one to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the biggest problem that exists in the internet marketing community right now is too many people look at their clients as a meal ticket. And I, you know, from my perspective, I'm not interested in that. And that's why I kind of have mixed feelings about charging for information and knowledge. You know, yeah, I can provide shortcuts to people. I can help you avoid pitfalls and problems that I've faced, situations that I found myself in that I wasn't adequately prepared for. You know, I have had partnerships in the past that went sideways and, you know, blew up and wasn't ready for it. And it was not a pleasant experience. And it cost me a lot of time and money to extract myself from it. You know, those are the types of things, that's the type of, I guess, experience that, you know, yeah, you can certainly, you're welcome to go out and go down the path and hope that it doesn't happen to you. Or you can, you know, be made aware of the potential exists and, you know, position yourself accordingly. So,
You know, this was an awesome interview, and I'd like to do it again sometime. You know, we have about a minute left. How can people get a hold of you, Michael, and interact or get your magazines?
Of11media.com, and it's OFELEVEN media, MEDIA.com. There is a tab at the top. You can see all of the various pieces of our technology there, but there's a tag that says magazines or our titles or something like that. So they're both in there. Crushing It, an Underwear Entrepreneur. Social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. I accept most reasonable requests. If I have friends in common or, you know, there's a reason for me to accept those requests, I do. Otherwise, just like you, I'm somewhat skeptical of. I'm a firm believer that quality is more important than quantity, and most of my, well, all of my Twitter followers are organic growth. I haven't gone out and bought any, and you know, as a result, my list is growing, you know, slowly every day. I share things that I find of interest from a technology, current events, all different kinds of perspectives. The woo-woo sciences, as I affectionately refer to them, quantum physics, and self-improvement, self-development type stuff. So, but you know, I've got multiple Twitter accounts, a couple pages, a couple Facebook pages, one for Underwear Entrepreneur, one for Crushing It Mag. I have The Underwear Entrepreneur on Facebook. I have 5280 Self-Improvement on Facebook, which is self-improvement, self-development. And the 5280 was a shout-out to, I started it when I lived in Denver. So so there's lots of different ways to find me. I'm pretty active on all of them, just like you. And I've enjoyed, you know, getting to know and meet people literally all over the world. And that's a pretty cool thing, you know. This has allowed me to have acquaintances and friends globally, and that's, you know, from a little kid from central Pennsylvania, that's a pretty cool thing, as you know, from your experience. So thank you very much for the opportunity. I've enjoyed this as well, and happy to sit down and talk to you again. If and when, you know, it might be a good time if this deal happens for us to revisit, you know, to go back and revisit the whole process from beginning to what would be not the end, but a new beginning, and we'll know in the next couple weeks. So,
You know, and I think it's very important for those that are interested in knowing the digital publishing world, how you went from startup, you know, the whole process, the names that you've came up with for your magazines, and all the different, the little pieces that you put together in your publishing puzzle. Because I think it's, people love processes. They love
Sure.
to know your struggles. But we'll save that for another interview.
Sounds great. Thank you again. I appreciate it. It was good seeing your smiling face, and
I don't know.
we'll
Anyway,
continue to keep in touch on Facebook and elsewhere.
I appreciate the time, and yes, anybody who wants to get a hold of Michael on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, all the other social networks, please just, you know, uh, find him, friend request him, and I think that you'll enjoy his posts. And if you want to interview him, I'm sure that he's more than welcome.
Happy to have those conversations.
All right. Well, thank you. Enjoy your day.
Thank you as well.